Mike Papantonio, host of the Ring of Fire Radio, Ring of Fire Television, ringofireradio.com, of course, is the website, and attorney extraordinaire. In fact, I would say America's attorney is on the line with us. Hey, Pap, how you doing?
Tom, how are you?
I am well. So you are cranking on the what used to be called from the Spanish-American War until the 1960s when they did away with it. It was called the STAT tax, the Securities Transaction Excise Tax, as I recall.
It's been around a long time, but we haven't really done anything real meaningful with it in our generation. And it is that the importance of this goes beyond the fact that what you can raise for the, for
let's explain what it is first for people
okay,
who
first of all, what you have is every day you have computerized transactions taking place by the gazillions. It's the new way that Wall Street makes its money. And the problem with it is some cat on Wall Street gets some little bit of information and he's managing a lot of money, managing a lot of accounts. So rather than having any kind of loss, any kind of risk at all, what he does is hits a button and thousands of trades take place that affect thousands of 401ks and pension programs. And it's a computerized system that is proved to be a disaster. In so many ways. It's a disaster because what ends up happening is every time one of those trades take place in any kind of big way, the entire market gets a little bit antsy. They get a little bit scared, and it's kind of a domino effect. And they've proved time after time that this new form of Wall Street trades is a disaster for the system, really. Now it's great for the guy pushing the button. You understand, but it's not great for the mom and pop pension program that's out there where most Americans have their money.
Yeah, I've heard that as much as 70% of all the trades in the New York Stock Exchange every day are happening on these high-speed computers.
About 70%, yes. And so all of a sudden you have Senator Harkin and Senator DeFazio come up with this not a new idea. It's an idea that's been out a long time and say, you know what? What if we have a tax that is 0.03% on every transaction? Will that make the greed-driven, Gordon Gekko-driven, greed is good kind of driven Wall Street thinker maybe not to do this so quickly? Maybe to say, well, let's slow down on this. And this has been talked about for a long time, and the positive is not just that. The positive is over a 10-year period of time, just with this 0.03% tax, you raise $400 billion for the economy. Now, this is the most lucrative industry in America, okay? But we tax everything, Tom. We tax, if there's a sale that takes place, those goods are taxed. But they've had this free pass of being able to trade without any downside. And so this is extremely important. And there's no argument. This is what's so interesting. The knee-jerk reaction from Wall Street, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's a well-planned reaction to scare everybody, is to say, you know, what you're doing is you're going to cost mom and pop more money. No, not really. They've done the analysis. They've taken an example of somebody, for example, that has maybe $90,000 in an IRA. They've traced the money. They've said, what is the net effect? The guy comes out better with this kind of protection because his 401k is actually safer. So the positive on it is overwhelming, and I think it comes at a time that we can't forget this. It's at a time when we have $62 billion worth of subsidies that we're giving the Fortune 500 companies. It comes during a time when $400 billion is lost every year when the Wall Streeters get to move their money offshore in tax havens. It comes at a time when oil companies like Exxon and Shell are actually getting billions of dollars a year in subsidies. It comes at a time when business bonuses, listen to this number, Tom, CEOs and business bonuses last year accounted for $30 billion that moved from Wall Street to the very highest paying jobs during a time when the average American that's working on minimum wages is making $7.25. Now, the reason I raise all that is because that's the setting that this new minor, almost nonsense tax is put forward. And you're going to see Congress still ignore the obvious, and that is Wall Street is winning and Main Street is losing. And my prediction is that Senator Harkin, DeFazio have a great bill here, but it won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, and this was, I mean, the last incarnation of this was put into place by FDR, as I recall, in 33 or 34. And it was during either the Kennedy or the Johnson administration. When FDR put it into place, the rationale was that it was to raise money to pay for the Securities and Exchange Commission. And Joe Kennedy was the first chairman of the SEC. Gloria Swanson told me that, who knew Joe quite, well enough to hate him, and who made the comment to me. She was a good friend of mine. She said that FDR told Joe that he made him the head of the SEC because it takes a crook to catch a crook. And but anyhow, it was supposed to pay for the SEC, and by the 60s, it was generating hundreds of millions of dollars more than the SEC cost, and that was the rationale that was used to do away with this stet tax. Now it's called the Robin Hood tax. There's a variety of names for it: the Wall Street tax, the banking tax. But it worked as a flywheel. And this, you've got these guys who are literally billionaires on Wall Street just because they have a computer plugged into the back end of the New York Stock Exchange's computers.
It's their selective right to make billions of dollars when Main Street loses billions of dollars. It creates it's a volatile practice that they understand. This whole high volume volatility, this high volume by itself generates money for them if they make a tiny fraction on each one of those transactions that take place by the thousands, by simply literally hitting a button and saying, okay, well, we're going to move this tax, we're going to move these stocks through for at least 24 hours.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I know that there was something else you wanted to talk about today. I don't have it on my list, though. I'm sorry.
Well, there's so many things to talk about. There's so many things. I guess the things that we're going to be talking about, a lot this week is the comparison. When you have empirical data, and it's right there, it's black and white, and the data is showing, let's look at the mistakes we've made in the past on things like NAFTA and CAFTA. Now let's compare what's going to happen with TPP. We don't really have to guess anymore.
Yeah.
When we had NAFTA and we had CAFTA, there was all this crazy talk about how good it was going to be for the American worker. We were kind of guessing, and I remember almost being sucked into that by Bill Clinton saying, this is going to be great. We have a new world economy and it's going to be really good for us. And I saw the charts, the same charts you probably saw.
We saw them during the presidential debates in 92, and Ross Perot was there with his big ears and his funny accent going, no, it's going to create a giant second sound.
Exactly.
He was right.
He was absolutely right. But the point is that that's something we're talking about more and more because we don't want that to pass, Tom. We don't want you have what they call you have the 30-second media these days, and that is the story's out there for 30 seconds, it moves on. And important issues like this, XL pipeline moves on, NAFTA, CAFTA, TPP moves on. And so I think it's incumbent, if you want to know the truth, when I look at the emails that I get, when I look at the Facebook comments and the tweets I get, the thing they like about what you do and what progressive media does is they keep the story out there when everybody else has abandoned the talking point.
There you go.
And it reminds people a little bit more.
There you go. And my new meme, Pap, is the Southern Hemisphere Asian Free Trade Agreement, SHAFTA. We got NAFTA, CAFTA. The TPP is actually SHAFTA. Mike Papantonio, hang on.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Be sure to check out Pap's website, ringofireradio.com. Check out his show on the weekends, Ring of Fire Radio, on radio stations all over the country. Thanks, Pap.
Thank you, Tom.